Good afternoon, my dear students. I, ARUN, I have come today to take class of chemical bonding. It is there in ICSE class 10 and it consists of nearly 6 marks. So I am here how to achieve 6 marks in your examination. It's one of the simplest chapter in your ICSE board class 10. The very first here, the topic is chemical bonding. So to understand chemical bonding, first we have to know the concept of chemical composition. Then we have to find out what is the meaning of chemical combination. Then why it occurs, why combination occurs, what type of chemical composition are there. We have to know these concepts which already we have learned in earlier classes. Now we know that elements have a tendency to attain to its nearest noble gas electron configuration. That means to be stable, they always want to either lose electron or to gain electron. So while doing so, we come across one more topic, that is bond. So what is the meaning of bond? We know that in the very general sense, we know that bond means kind of strength. Bond means a force of attraction. Let us take this concept of force of attraction. Then the force of attraction of what? The force of attraction of atoms. When two atoms, when they have a force of attraction between them to form a molecule. So while forming of molecule, what happens? There is rearrangement of electrons. Next, this is what we say is chemical bond. Now, while doing so, what we get is atoms, when they go with a different combination to form molecules, then what happens? Three things can be done. How it can be done? Number one, either electrons are shared from that means what? Valence electrons are being shared. Number two, there is a transfer of electrons. In the transfer of electrons, either they gain electrons or they lose electrons to attain nearest stable configuration. So, according with the terms of the forming the bond, we have three types of bond in your syllabus. The very first bond is ionic bond, which is also called electrovalent bond. Number two, covalent bond. And number three, dative bond. This dative bond is also called coordinate bond. So in your syllabus, you have ionic bond, you have covalent bond, you have dative bond. The very first bond we are going to read about ionic bond. So that means electrovalent bond. How ionic bond formation is there? My dear, the formation of ionic bond is between metal and non-metal. Why? Because formation of ionic bond means, by definition, we know that a metal donates electron and non-metal accepts electron. That is, transfer of electrons from their valency shell is said to be due to the transfer of electrons from the valency shell, ionic bond is formed. So while doing so, let us go with ionic bond first. I'll explain you how ionic bonds are formed and whatever the structures can be formed. I'll let you know. The very first bond in your chapter is ionic bond, or we can say is electrovalent bond. So what is ionic bond? Just now we have read that it is a transfer of electrons. Now the question arises, the transfer of electrons forms from where? It forms from metal to non-metal. When there is a transfer of electrons from metal to non-metal, then finally they form electrovalent bond. अब सोचने वाली बात यह है कि जब इलेक्ट्रोवैलेंट बॉन्ड बनता है तो कुछ ना कुछ फैक्टर्स के ऊपर तो जरूर निर्भर करता है. So we have to find out what are the factors that affect or that causes to form electrovalent bond. Let us recall the very first chapter which already I have taught you. First, while we move from left to right across the period, we have learnt regarding IP, that is ionization potential. So when we move from left to right across the period, ionization potential increases. That means what? More energy is required to take out the electrons. That means what? It becomes difficult. So the very first factor is ionization potential should be low. If ionization potential is low, then it's very easy to donate electrons. Number one, IP. That is, ionization potential should be low. I have made you understand why it should be low, because it becomes very easy to donate electrons and there is a formation of cation. Number two, again let us inquire regarding the electron affinity. So if the electron affinity is more, if the electron affinity is high, so let us write electron affinity. If it is high, then it becomes easy to accept electrons. So that means to formation of anion. So this is the number two factors. One more factor is that regarding electronegativity. Number three is electronegativity. So what is electronegativity? Already have taught you in this earlier chapter. There should be a large difference in electronegativity. Why there should be large difference in electronegativity? To form, because then it becomes easier for the transfer of electrons and electrovalent bond can be formed. My dear, I have already said you from this chapter 6 marks are allotted. So you can be sure enough that you must know these all three things to get 2 marks, because most of the time they may ask you in MCQ or in short questions what are the factors. So you have to understand these three properties of factors properly. So let me now show you few more things in electrovalent bond.